There are three mistakes you're probably making that are holding you back from true emotional well-being. And my guess is that you're not doing this on purpose and that all of us would love to move toward true emotional well-being, but we need high-level mentoring, great information, and practical, actionable tools to help us move through the emotional landscape within. So I want to take a moment and soften that language a little bit around mistakes. I really want to undermine maybe the perfectionist in you or the you that's wanting to really do a good job in life. And it's okay to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. And the reason why I'm able to outline these three mistakes is because I have witnessed them in myself and I have worked really hard to find new ways to move through these mistakes. And I can't wait to share them with you today. So the first mistake that I think most of us are making is that we're overly relying on calming or satisfying activities for emotional support. Now, don't get me wrong. Actually, one of the strategies that is the hallmark of good emotional wellness is you're doing things, you're taking action, and you're weaving in practices and things outside of yourself that do bring you a sense of calm, relaxation, enjoyment, and peace. So it is a strategy for emotional well-being to find the things outside of yourself that bring you positive emotions and that keep you regulated and calm and give you access to the most grounded, resourced self. So it's a really good thing to do. But this is why I think it's a mistake to overly rely on things outside of yourself. First of all, we're all working moms here, and everybody has a different story. Everyone has a different set of constraints. Everyone has different schedules, different resources available to them. But most working moms that I know are longing to be able to put more relaxing and calming and grounding activities into their day, but they just can't do it. Gone are the days where you could wake up whenever you wanted to, do any type of morning routine that worked for you, go to work, put in a good work day, manage that work day only with yourself to consider in the in-between moments. And then after work, doing whatever sounds good to you, meeting up with a friend, going to a yoga class, going on a nice long hike or a walk, going to a talk or a lecture, or going to the library and reading. Gone are those days for most modern mothers. Instead, our mornings are filled with everything we need to do to get ourselves and everybody else under our care into the places they need to be for the day. Our work days are straddled with not only the work that we have to do, but all of that mental load and the things that we're doing in the background, like registering for camps or signing up for sports or scheduling in the babysitters or making in the dentist and the doctor appointments or researching in between things, how we're going to help our child or our tween or our teen go through this next developmental stage or this next challenge they're dealing with. So we don't really have the same space in our work days to just attend to our own needs that we used to before becoming parents. And then after work, we're moving right into school or daycare pickups. We're moving into after school activities or homework or household duties or making dinner with our families. And really, many of us really want to be present for this time. We're happy maybe once a week to go out and do something with friends or go to a yoga class, but we don't see our kids throughout the day and we miss them and we want to cultivate those relationships and be with them. So one reason why overly relying on outer activities to feel better is a mistake is because we don't have the same opportunity that we used to have to weave in those outside opportunities and practices as seamlessly as we used to. Instead, our time and attention is divided and focused on other things. Another reason why it's a mistake to overly rely on those outside activities is even if we have the time and we want to and can invest in those outside activities, which we should when we can, is that something weird happens, I notice, in midlife motherhood. is that those same practices don't actually fill us up in the same way that they used to. And I think there's actually a lot of reasons for that. But one reason that I think would be worthwhile mentioning today is that we get to that activity, we really do enjoy it, but it's almost like a drop in the bucket compared to the volume of stressors, productivity, the long list of to-dos, and the relative kind of like emotional well-being deficit that most working moms are juggling at any given time. So it feels so good to be there, but it doesn't quite fill the tank as much as it used to. And then how many of us have left that wonderful yoga class or that amazing like connecting mama meetup or whatever it was that you did, and then to just come home and walk in to complete and utter maybe relational chaos at home. The people that you left behind are struggling, they're having a hard time, their emotions are big, or you walk in and then you're right into the list of demands that life has for you as a mama. And so it can sometimes almost feel like it felt so good to be there, but it didn't have that staying power. It didn't give you that deeper infusion or that lasting infusion of well-being that you were hoping for. And the other reason why I think it's a mistake to overly rely on activities outside of yourself is because that is just one strategy, and using that strategy alone is leaving you incomplete. I actually recommend a three-pronged approach to move toward emotional well-being, and finding things and weaving them into your schedule that do bring you a sense of meaning and joy and relaxation is one of the approaches. But if we're overly relying on that, and that's the only thing that we're looking forward to or using to provide emotional support in the day, it's going to leave us lacking and not actually feeling as emotionally well as we could. So check in with yourself for a moment. How true is this mistake for you right now? And again, let's use that word mistake so lightly. This is just a creative, self-reflective exercise. You're not in trouble, and there's no reason to judge yourself harshly if this is the case. But are you noticing that maybe you've been over-relying on activities that used to bring you, and maybe still do bring you, some joy and peace and emotional space, but are you hoping that those are going to do more for you than they actually can? And are you also noticing that it's pretty difficult in this season of your life to put enough of those outside activities into the day and then not have them get messed around by the schedule or the other needs in your life, to where those outside calming and grounding activities just aren't really cutting it on their own anymore? Okay, mistake number 2. And this one might surprise you just a little bit. So hear me out after you hear it, and then let me explain myself to you. Mistake number 2 is overestimating the soothing for your difficult emotions that you can get from other people. And you might be like, wait, Kara's a therapist. Doesn't she feel like we should be connecting with people and talking about our emotions and getting help and support for them? And yes, of course. And getting support and seeking connection, and the science would say co-regulation, from safe, reliable, enjoyable people in your life is one of the 3 prongs. It's the first prong would be weaving creatively into your life things that bring you meaning and joy and relief. The second would be to kind of pinpoint in this season of your life what people are your go-to people to try to bring more connection and quality time together to talk deeply about your inner emotional experiences with. So yes, that is an amazing practical approach to working through emotions, but I do think that women overestimate how much soothing they can actually get from other people. So I want you to seek that soothing and build that into your life. But let me share with you why I think we can't only rely on that. The first reason is because, I don't know about you, but I'm often feeling like I'm wishing for and longing for more connection with my closest friends. Either we don't have schedules that are the same, or life is so full and busy, it's hard to get that time together, or we're together, but maybe we're with families and kids, and we don't get to that deeper layer of emotional resonance that we would if we were in a multi-day trip together. So whereas we're spending time with friends, we're not always getting enough or a deep enough quality of connection with them. And this is something to strive for and work for. I think as women, it's so enjoyable and meaningful to get that deep emotional support and resonance. And it can move wonders in our emotional well-being to get it. But we can't overestimate the relative small amounts of time that we typically have with our friends. The other reason that it's a mistake to overestimate soothing that you can get from other people is that my guess is that you're in a brand new season of sorts with your partner, if you have one. And modern parenthood can be really rigorous. My hope is that both of you are in a growing space, but often our needs are a little bit different from each other. And our approaches to move through feelings and work through feelings are usually pretty different. And I think it's really worthwhile to focus on growing your relationship with your partner and learning how to bring better emotional care and soothing to each other. But I think that is like a path that we walk down, and it's not an immediate solve for the emotional soothing needs that you do have when you're in difficulty or going through big mood swings or emotional demands. So at best, we have a relationship that really provides and holds the space for our emotions. And kind of at like, not like at worst, but just at reality, some of us haven't yet figured out in this season of our life how our partners can be that for us and how we can be that for them. But get this, this is reason number 3 that I think it's a mistake to overestimate getting all of our emotional support from other people. Even when we have wonderful friendships and we're getting enough time with them and quality time with them, even when we've really broken through into a new spaciousness with our partner and we're feeling a lot of emotional support and connection, even if those two things are happening, which you've heard me say it's pretty normal to fluctuate in those two things during midlife motherhood. Third reason why it's a mistake is that I think one of the most powerful and underutilized and understood, is that a word? But yeah, understood is how important it is to be able to work through our emotional experiences on the inside. So actually that 3-pronged approach would be more like a pie chart, and half of that pie would go to knowing how to work through emotional experiences in a growth producing and transformational way within the community of ourself. And then the other half of that pie graph, 1/4 of it would be finding those grounding and nourishing practices that really infuse our lives with regulation and the space for joy and ease and help us move from adversity to ease. And then the last 1/4 of that pie graph would be really investing in relational experiences and showing up to them in an intimate, vulnerable way to get the emotional reward. So there's this whole other half of the pie chart that's really what helps us level up into our next emotional wellness era as midlife women. So overestimating that 1/4 of the pie chart, getting that soothing from other people, is a mistake because it's not a complete picture of what we need in order to be well. So check in with yourself, my friend. Take a moment. Where might you be overestimating and over-relying on other people to bring that emotional well-being into your life? And remember, we need other people. It's good to have other people in our life. We cannot go this alone. We really do need to bring our difficulties to people that we trust and get the support from them. It's just one part of the three-pronged approach. And so many of us have been in that position where we really needed someone, but for whatever reason, all the amazing people in our lives just weren't available, or were grumpy themselves, or weren't able to provide that fulfilled, connected experience that we needed. It doesn't make them bad. It just means that wasn't the available resource at the time. So we need to flexibly be able to move into the other half of the pie chart. Okay, are you still here with me? Thank you so much for listening. And now we're at that final mistake, number 3. And I think this is the best one. So really listen close, tune in with me. Mistake number 3 is delaying getting the tools you need to actually move through your emotions on the inside and within a safe and connected and skillful relationship with yourself, so that you can learn to harness the transformational power of your emotions for your good and for your growth. Shall I say that again? Stop delaying getting the tools you need to actually move through your emotions, all of them, the good ones, the hard ones, the overwhelming ones. Move through them and move with them on the inside. And get the frameworks that you need, get the mentoring you need, so that you can harness the transformational power of all of your emotions for your highest good and for your growth. We cannot move into the women we want to be. We cannot move into the next iteration of what life is asking us to step into. And life is lifing right now for most of us, and in our communities and our culture, life is lifing. There are a lot of big emotions to move through and work through as we're moving through the challenges in our culture, in our country, in our communities, and in our homes. And all of those emotions, when we know what to do with them, will bring us into a growing and ultimately good and fulfilled space, and help us set our compass for how we want to navigate life on the outside. In the midlife or perimenopause women's health literature that I'm seeing out there, there's some amazing work being done. I'm always hearing the health experts talk about emotional health and stress management as like one of their key pillars for well-being. And guess what? They're right. But what they always say is just like figure that out and then do all these other healthcare things. And I think that that is the lack of advice that's given on how to figure that out is my unique offering into this space right now. I cannot wait to take you on a journey so that you know exactly what tools to access. You have a step-by-step framework for how to move through your emotions within, and you're getting out of that most likely scenario of either avoiding big and difficult emotions or feeling totally overwhelmed and paralyzed by those big emotions. That would be the more common human condition. Resistance and numbing and shutting out and overworking and doing all the things to keep those emotions at bay, or feeling weighed down and overwhelmed and unable to take action in a positive way around those emotions, feeling stuck in them and totally overwhelmed, like you can't see anything else but that emotion. And it can get really tense and tight and difficult in the mind and in our hearts when we're in that overwhelmed place. My guess is that you do, just like I do, a combination of avoidance or overwhelm when you're in those big emotional or tender emotional places. And you deserve to have new ways of moving through those experiences. Ones where you're no longer resisting or getting overwhelmed and paralyzed and stuck, but you're able to navigate your inner world with grace, deep connection within, and a high-level strategy of what you're going to do with that emotional content when it comes and how you're going to use it to transform this precious human experience. So check in with yourself on that last one. My hope is that you have a few strategies or a few tools that you have learned that really help you when you're working through things on the inside that support your emotional experience and help you to grow. And not just like move on from the emotion, but move inward, move through, and move strategically forward as a result of that emotion. But if you're like most moms, you need a next level toolkit because what you've relied on in the past and the last seasons of your life is no longer working for you. And most of us haven't really gotten a really solid toolkit, and it feels a little murky or unclear or overwhelming or just like too big or too much to take on. But stick with me, friend. I've done the hard work and trained over the last 2 decades to be able to bring you the strategies and steps that will make it simple and workable to work through, ultimately moving you into a vibrant place of health and well-being. And if you want more of that, please come in to the Vibrant Mom Collective. It's a transformational mentoring group that is opening up in October. You can come anytime. I'll be sure to link the Vibrant Mom Collective in the show notes below. If you're ready to step into vibrant health, emotional well-being, and deep fulfillment, the collective is exactly where you need to be. So check in with yourself one last time. Can you make a little commitment to yourself to seeking out resources, seeking out tools, seeking out strategies that help you work with and through your emotional world on the inside within yourself with skill? It doesn't have to be with the collective, but that is a wonderful place to begin. Take care, and I can't wait to talk with you again soon.